everyone, this is Shara Oswalji from Astral Connections again. Here with me I have Rick Peterson and Josie Domenico. Welcome back, guys.
Hey Shara, how's it going?
Yeah, excellent. How are you, Josie?
Good, Shara.
We're already having fun here talking and discussing about Rick's progress with spirit.
Yeah, it's come a long ways. We've done a lot of different paranormal investigations. We did a really cool one back in September of last year, which there's some video on the website showing us doing some EVP work, direct communication with spirit, and it was a really interesting investigation.
So EVP work, maybe for the audience, you may want to...
Sure. It's electronic voice phenomena. Basically, we were getting recordings coming through a speaker that we hook up to a little AM/FM radio, and then we were using also a little K2 meter, which is a meter that measures electromagnetic fields, but we cue it on and then it has LED lights, and we were asking the spirit to make the device light up if it was going to respond to us. We had quite a bit of phenomena happening, so it was a very amazing investigation, actually.
It's a good video to watch.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we went out, I guess, on our field trip that one time, and that brought us quite a few buzzes and beeps on the, equipment.
Yeah, and then also we did that seminar for you guys there back in the fall, and we were able to go to the Orpheum and did the investigation out there, and you weren't able to make it, unfortunately. We're gonna have to drag you out kicking and screaming one of these days, and she will be screaming. But get her out to the Orpheum, and it was a great investigation. Everybody had a good time, and some really good results there as well.
Excellent. So Josie's with you today.
Yeah.
And she's new to the team since we last spoke.
Yep, Josie, I'm very pleased to have her on the team now. Josie and I have been friends for many years. Josie herself is psychic herself, and acts as psychic support for me when I'm interacting with the spirits. And at the same time, what she'll also do is she gives feedback from stuff that she might be picking up that I might be missing. And we work very well as a collaborative duo when we're doing the investigations.
Excellent. So Josie, tell us, how did you first of all come to metaphysics?
Well, my journey started about, it's about 25 years ago. I was raised a Jehovah's Witness, so obviously this field, this area is linked with, you know, the devil. That's putting it mildly, but that's what I was raised. And as a child, what I can remember is I always had this feeling of being watched. I don't know if you can relate to that. Yeah. So you can, and so I always felt like I was being watched. I always felt different. I was kind of just, you know, going along with things a child would do. I do remember being very scared of the dark. I was just talking to Joe yesterday about this, how I couldn't sleep by myself. You know, I grew up with 4 other sisters, and you know, up till about 16, I was like scared of the dark, and I never really put it together, you know, that I was feeling stuff, picking things up. So in my teenage years, you know, you get busy as a teenager, then you forget about it all, you know. But in my early 20s, I started to drift away from the Jehovah's Witness people, and I started first by going into White Rock. At that time, Norma Cowie. Do you know Norma?
Yeah. Yes, I do. She's done very many presentations.
Right.
And I've interviewed her as well.
That's right. Well, Norma back in the late 80s was quite active in the White Rock area, and she had her own little center. So I remember going to her center one evening doing meditation. She had books there for sale. I picked up some books. And
some of her books too.
Yeah. So that was actually a real eye-opening experience for me. That I just took off after that. I just took off. I would try anything, you know, do anything, read any books. Just, you know, on and on it went, right? And as I started, you know, I started having children. For a while there, I got very interested in midwifery. And midwifery is a spiritual practice too. I attended about 100 home births. A lot of them were water births, And these births, you know, they had a very...
And they were painless, I understand, right?
Some were.
Only for the observer.
My personal experience with childbirth, I don't want to get too far off the topic here, but my son was born at Surrey Memorial via C-section, and then my daughter was born 4 years later at home. And Gloria LeMay is a local lay midwife, and she's actually been put in jail.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she's actually been put in jail. She's a very, very experienced lay midwife. What's the word I'm trying to find? Very controversial lady.
Okay.
Widely respected other parts of the world, but here she's like the bad one, right? So she was my midwife, and I had a great birth, you know, awesome birth. Again, there's a lot of spiritual stuff that goes into that.
Yeah.
I won't go into that too much, but one of the things Gloria did for each mother was there'd be like a little circle before the baby was born.
Like a meditation.
A blessing circle.
Oh,
that's
beautiful.
what a blessing way circle. That's what it was called. And yeah, it was beautiful. You know, you'd meditate, you'd call in guides, and so I was doing all this kind of stuff, going along and having a lot of fun, and that is key. I'm still having a lot of fun. I'm still having a lot of fun, maybe too much fun, but it has to be natural. That's my motto.
Okay.
You know, you can't struggle with it. If you're struggling with it, there's something wrong.
I have to share a funny story because,
of course you do.
Yeah, I can remember I went through a bunch of stuff personally back in the early 2000s, and I was looking for answers, and so I was looking to try and figure out how do I develop my ability and what have you. And somebody said, "Oh, you need to do a development circle," and so I was like, "Okay, fine." And I've always been like right down the middle. You know, no drugs, no real any drinking or any of that kind of stuff. So, you know, like any deviation off of that for me puts me out of my comfort zone. And so, going to a development circle,
good.
yeah. Well, but going to a development circle was outside of my comfort zone. I didn't understand this, and I was going, okay, what am I going to be doing, sitting in a circle here? And I go to this circle, and I meet Josie.
Oh.
And there was another girl in our circle that I think there was about 8 or 9 of us initially.
Yeah.
And those two started talking about Wicca.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Josie, and she's got this dark hair, and she's talking about Wicca, and I'm going, oh dear God, what have I gotten myself into, right? Like, and I'm the only guy in the circle, and I'm just
my mother-in-law swears I'm a witch.
Well, you know what? It was just, Paula didn't start talking about Wicca the first time I met her. So it was pretty ironic. I was sitting here going, okay. So, but the funny thing was is that the whole circle really developed, and Joe and I really clicked as friends, and on a spiritual level, became best of friends, and she's family to me. And so I'm honored to have her as my friend, my psychic support, and member of Spirit. It took me a while to get her on board with the team.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. That's a good point. Just so for me, what started happening was once I started exploring all this, and I took another psychic development course, Georgina, in Aldergrove. Yep. There was a little metaphysical bookstore. That was 2003, and I took this course. And it's weird. That was the first time I heard the word spiritualism. I am a spiritualist. You know, that's what I would call myself right now, is I am a spiritualist. And from that course, I started going to the spiritualist churches. And there they really promote mediumship development. As well as healing. They you know, I think that's Rick really it was the healing that really connected us, because you did the healing workshop
as well,
and then at Lighthouse, and then from there you came over to Astral Circle.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's actually healing is what brought us together.
Basically.
Yeah. Spiritual healing.
Right.
So then, Rick, moving forward, 2008, I went to England to Arthur Findlay College.
Oh,
it's awesome place. Yeah. Highly recommend it.
I've heard really good things about that.
Yeah.
A lot of the practitioners here are from there. So.
Yeah. So I did a week-long course there, mediumship development. Had a blast. That was the same year.
So you can talk to dead people.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the same year Rick, I missed Rick's wedding because I was in,
That's right.
I was in England,
Yeah.
right? And was that the year you met Paula, 2008?
2007.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it didn't take that much. You just had gotten married, and I think it was about 6 months later, you started talking about paranormal investigations.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. And I did some work with another group around town, and then I wanted to get into my own gig.
Yeah, and so he started talking about paranormal investigations. I thought, that's interesting. Ooh, where's he going with that? Where's he going with that? And then by 2009, he was talking about spirit. He was talking about spirit.
Scaring her.
Yeah, and he was.
I love the new mascot, by the way.
Oh, you mean the banner?
The banner.
She didn't like the hand picture.
Oh. Yeah. And from what I can remember, right at the get-go, Rick was trying to get me to come to some investigations. I had, and I still do have a fairly hectic schedule at that time. I just thought, well, how the heck am I going to fit that in? You know, go and stay up all night. And that just didn't really appeal to me, staying up all night. But once you do it once, once you do it once, you get hooked.
You're hooked.
You're hooked. Yeah. And that's what happened.
Though I can't imagine myself getting hooked.
You know, you'd be amazed how you don't get tired.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed how when I'm on an investigation,
because if you're
I'm
working
very
with
present.
source energy, right?
Yeah, but I'm very present. I'm very present. I'm the most present. You know, it's really weird. It's like yes, like we're here to do a job. We focus. You know, we open up to the energies. You're tuning in. You're doing all this kind of stuff, and you're so present. If you could get in that state during the day, whatever you're doing, it'd be like awesome. But for me, that's when I get really present.
Yeah, yeah. No,
And I got hooked. That's what happened. I got hooked.
It was, and you know what? It was such a fantastic feeling to know that I had somebody that I could trust, that was legitimate, and was in that present state, is what she's defining. That I was able to let myself go into the areas that I needed to do. Right. And not have to be full on protecting and worrying about everybody else around me. Yeah. Josie sort of looks after that while I'm dealing with whatever we're dealing with there, and it works so well. And so yeah, and now that we've got her on board, I mean, she's 110% involved, and it's great to have her.
Yeah, yeah, and it really is teamwork. At our last investigation, there was the two of us and Glenn.
Yep.
And you know, you have to go in as a team. You do.
Yeah.
You do. And I'm not saying you need a whole whack of people, but 2 or 3 people is nice. It's nice.
Yeah, there's 5 of us in total. I mean, there's Paula fields all the questions in that with the clients. There's Glenn, who does all of our tech work, and he's also sensitive as well in his own right. And so you know, he'll also sort of verify when we do our first initial walkthrough. I'll be like, okay, I'm getting here, bang, 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 and he'll be like, yeah, I'm feeling something here, or no, I'm not feeling it over here, I'm feeling it over here, and it sort of gives us that sort of additional layer of informative
confirmation.
Yeah. So, and then we had after the Orpheum thing and presentation that we did, Jessica Whitworth has joined our group, and Jess is...
she runs a radio station, or
well, I don't know if she runs a radio station, but she's she's on morning radio with JRFM. Okay. And she does the news and traffic with them, and so she came out to the Orpheum thing, and just like Josie was saying, she was
she's a natural,
and
she's a natural, very level-headed and very and dependable. You can she, you know.
Yeah, she's very reputable, incredible, and that's the thing. Like, you know, I've been asked many times, you know, oh, I'd love to join your group. You know, how do we join? And it's just that I have to have that immediate click with somebody. And at the same time, we also can only allow the group to get so large. When I look at some of these other paranormal groups out there, and they've got, you know, 15, 20 members, whatever. Sure, it's great if you've got caseloads coming out your yin-yang and you need to have that many people working shifts or whatever, but we're not at that stage. And we're very particular.
Thank God.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty particular about what we deal with, right? So, so yeah, it's great having, you know, a tight knit group that works really well.
Yeah.
You know, and then you know, it was funny. About a year and a half ago, I was pursuing the idea of having a TV show, and I told Josie about it.
You told me about that.
Yeah, and so it was.
What happened to that?
Well, we filmed a sizzle reel, which is before the broadcasters down in the U.S. right now. We had a production company come up from the U.S. A year ago today, pretty much right about now. And we shot for 3 days. The main shoot was at the Separately House Burnaby Art Gallery, and we dealt with a really nasty big bad entity that was there. It was 1 to 10 scale for me. It was a 10. It was the toughest that I've ever had to deal with. On a 1 to 10 scale, what's out there is probably about a 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a handful. And how many hours did that take for us to clear?
Well,
from start to finish.
6 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have some questions in regards to these entities. So what causes them to appear? What causes them to persist? And I mean, there's this whole idea of negative energy versus positive energy. There's this whole idea of, you know, the area itself and how clear it is or not clear it is, or how spiritual it is or not spiritual it is. What exactly is it that creates the manifestation of a negative energy?
Do you want to go with this?
Well, I'll take a stab at it. Energy is energy, right? So we have, you know, I hate to say good and bad energy. I hate to put it that way, but you know, that's
positive, negative, yin yang.
Yeah, it's dualistic, right? Just like we in the physical, we have our lives. We go where we want, where we're drawn to, right? Like for some reason, Rick and I were drawn into this cafe today. Here we are.
Why? I don't know.
Hanging out and with Charose, right? So these entities, whatever vibration, these entities, whatever vibration they're at, they've got their life, right? Just like we got our life, and they go where they're drawn to, right?
So when you say where they're drawn to,
well, if an energy is darker, they are usually hungry, and they need to feed off something.
Okay.
Right? They suck.
Okay.
They need to draw. When an energy is have a higher vibration, more positive, they give. They send energy, right? So that's the difference. The white guys send, the dark guys take.
Okay. So if there is a space that's what we'll call it white, the white guys, right? If a place is white, it attracts this kind of energy because the energy is looking for something white? No. Oh, no, that doesn't make sense.
To really sort of sum it up is that if you look at, have you ever heard of ley lines?
Yes.
So there's energy lines that traverse through the globe. Oftentimes you will find more activity during where there's ley lines because they can draw energy from that. There can also be a link or a bond that either a person. So let's forget about how the 1 to 10 scale, how evil we're talking about. Just let's talk about a spirit. If they may have had a physical attachment to the property, physical attachment to a material item, or an attachment to a person. Okay. They will oftentimes linger. I always laugh when people tell me, they say, well, send it to the light. And it's like, well, it's not that easy. It's definitely not that easy because first of all, they might not want to go. Second, they may not know how to go. And in many cases, if you think about it, if they could see the light, odds are they probably would go through. So we as mediums, what we have to do is we have to use what's called finding the key, which is a commonality between this dimension and somebody that's on the other side and that spirit, to basically link them together and have them come to the realization that they are past, they are in that sort of in-between stage, and to help them transition across. And finding that key is a lot of effort. It's not something that usually readily happens. It takes time.
So would you say most benevolent entities want to be benevolent?
You know,
No, I'm not going to go there.
I always like to see the positive in things.
Me
I mean,
too.
I feel that. I feel it in my heart
Yeah.
that, you know, evil people, you know, there's evil people. Like,
Yeah.
look at that Boston bombing. Like, who the hell did that?
Yeah.
Like, come on, right? But in my heart, there's good in everyone.
Absolutely, there
There's
is.
good, and for some reason they've gotten lost.
Yeah.
Something went twitchy, something
yeah.
went twitchy.
Yeah.
But I find it hard to believe that people purposely, or spirits purposely, you know, have that bad intention. But maybe I'm being a bit naive.
But I think there are some things that are inherently
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as there are equally inherently light.
Light,
And
okay.
so, and what we dealt with at the Burnaby Art Gallery
So how does
was
something
dark.
light attract something dark into their reality?
Well,
Or can it?
The darkness is wants to get close to the light for a reason. They're actually coming close to the light, but they're reaching out for help.
Yeah.
I mean,
In some cases.
yeah, they're what are they doing?
I think,
You're thinking they're trying to provoke a fight. They're trying to.
well, I think that
lure people their way.
There's an antagonistic
Yeah.
side of things, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, the
usually,
battle.
if you look at a story, there's
Yeah.
your antagonist and
That's true.
protagonist, right?
Yeah, very
and,
true.
And so,
But is it not possible that we create the protagonist and the antagonist
no,
because of our?
I don't think so. I think that we have to look at it from the perspective that there are things that, and this is what I'm saying with the Burnaby Art Gallery, it was a real eye opener for
I'm
me.
just being devil's advocate, right? As always.
But there's what we dealt with there was a case of demonic entity that was demonic. It was not somebody with a bad attitude. This was purely a dark entity. And so when afterwards people said, "Well, did you send it to the light?" I said, "Yeah, you can't send dark to the light. It's like putting a square peg in a round hole." So what I
Can't
lend,
you transform it?
I don't have that kind of
No,
ability.
it's
No.
like with the person.
Right.
Ultimately we have to change ourselves from within.
Ultimately,
right?
we have to change ourselves from within.
Yeah.
So
That's really
basically, I
what it's
just
for anyway.
dispatched it, sent it to the realm of darkness where it came, right? You know, because I'd be there battling it for weeks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I have a feeling we'll be going back there again. It'll be different. But we'll have to do a checkup.
yeah, well, there were still other spirits that were present
Yeah,
that we didn't
yeah.
deal with, right?
But
So-
that particular one that you dealt with, I'm pretty sure he's gone.
yeah,
So I've watched the video and I know Rick's reaction and state of being in that space, but I don't have a good place of where you were.
Where where I I was totally watching Rick.
And being protective of him. Okay.
And there were,
Basically.
Yeah.
and oh my God, I really had some concerns, but there was nothing I could do
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
than be there.
yeah.
Other than be there, I was prepared for the worst
Yeah.
because there were points when I thought, man, this guy's heart must just be ready to stop.
Oh,
Or
there's-
something. There's something that's going to happen, or something's going to pop in this guy. This guy's going to like
The physical demand
Faint.
of it was huge.
Yeah,
Like, it was
yeah,
huge,
yeah.
and it became very much an ongoing battle, a
Yeah.
fight. It was physical, it was mental, it was emotional,
Yeah.
it was energy, it was everything, and there was some really crazy things happening.
But here's the thing: is I've been around that energy before. That's
Right.
similar to when a woman's giving birth. You know, it's that same intensity, because what you've got that struggle going on, a life about to be born.
Yeah.
Right.
And Rick was like
Veins
a
about to pop.
woman in childbirth, and that's why I just.
Somebody get this out of me!
That's what it, you know what? That's what it felt
Actually,
like.
come
I
to think of
couldn't-
it, when
I could not pay attention to anything else except Rick. Don't cut this out. That's exactly what it was like. It's like a woman pushing a baby out. You don't
This is
just
just
turn your
between
head and go,
us,
"Oh,
okay?"
This
Yeah,
was-
and the internet, right? Yeah. Yeah.
So anyways, that's what I was doing. I didn't, you know what? My
You didn't
focus-
see it off camera. Actually, what she going.
My focus was not on the entity. My
It was on
focus
Rick,
was
Cass.
not on Jeff. It was totally on Rick.
And it should have been,
And it
because
totally absorbed all my attention,
Wow.
110%.
I mean, there was the one point where what I had done from a psychic level was that I had to basically, Josie and I worked this entity from room to room, level to level to compartmentalize it. And so we had it in a tight area where we could work one-on-one with this entity and dispatch it, where it couldn't flee, it couldn't do whatever it wanted to do. And so I'd created this sort of a semicircle in front of us,
like
where it was...
a vortex of light kind of thing?
Well, no, the light was all around us.
Okay.
It was the area that wasn't lit. And so it gave it an area to work within,
Okay.
right? And I can remember basically bringing it in, and then I could see this thing in my mind's eye. I could see it pacing, and I was describing this to what was happening.
Yeah.
And there was, I could feel the intensity ramping up in this entity. Just basically was enraged because I had trapped it.
So were you scared? I have to ask.
No, I don't think he was scared. No.
And it's not arrogance. It's not over self-confident.
You know what?
I'm not.
Neither one of us were afraid.
Yeah.
No, only I think the crew was freaking out.
Yeah,
and I think other individuals who remain nameless.
Other individuals.
But you were low on energy because you can see that in the.
I was
in the image
dangerously low, actually, and
that was that was getting towards the end.
I know.
That was getting right towards
I know,
the end.
but what took you there? How did you let yourself get there? Is the question.
Well, again, as Joe said, I mean, it was how many hours of constant battle, and the whole time through, it's easy to say, oh, channel the light and work with the energy and whatever, but when you're in that sort of fist fight. Like it's one of the things like is a martial arts. I mean, in a fist fight, you can sit there and remember, your different Kempo stances and moves and whatever else, but you'd basically just get in there and just muck it out. And so what had happened was that I actually partially lost connectivity with spirit energy because...
How can you?
Because what had happened was, in a nutshell, there was a point where Josie said to me, she said, Rick, we need to get some drum music happening here, something that's going to agitate and really get this thing knocked off its game. And I'm like, Joe, we don't have anything like that here. Mm-hmm. And...
You start singing?
No.
I always thought, is somebody... I didn't have an iPhone back then. If I had, I would have got some music happening.
Yeah. We had professional... like movie and film crews working on this, and they know the difference between all their equipment. And the director basically said he wanted to bring in this atomizer, which would basically thicken the air so that it would create an energy feel in the room that is really more affects the cameras, but it's not obvious. It's not like making like apparitions or anything like that. And I will say that this entity influenced the decision of the crew member who went to plug this device in, and instead of plugging that device in, plugged in a fog machine which did a full-on smoke. And they know the difference. These are, as I say, professionals. And next thing you know, we had smoke throughout the top level of the Burnaby Art Gallery, sets off the fire alarms. And so next thing you know, we're told, okay, because the curator was there, and they're like, everybody's got to get out of the building. 911's going to roll automatically. So the fire department came out. Yeah. It's 2:30 in the morning. We had what's called a hard out, which means we had to be out of the building by 3. And the curator actually had to be back to work for 9 a.m. the next day. And so I can remember going down from the top level and hearing this fire alarm, and the fire alarm was going da-da-da-ding, da-da-da-ding, da-da-da-ding. And so it was this drumming sound, right?
Yeah, it was different.
But as we transitioned from the top floor where I was battling the entity, and I'm going down and to go outside, what I started hearing, and I'm sure it was on the psychic level, was ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Right, and so like this thing's laughing at me, like you've got me in, the 12th round here on the ropes, and then the bell rings because some circumstance.
As soon as that bell went off, Rick was like,
I was choked.
He was super ticked.
Yeah.
The director was super ticked. I started laughing. I thought it was funny. Like I said, I had a blast.
This was the last straw, right?
And our other co-star, he was just happy to be done. He was like, "Oh, this is a break. I'm out of here." But Rick was so ticked.
I was, because all this effort to basically compartmentalize this to be defeated was not something I was prepared to accept. And that is where, and it's really important for the viewers out there to understand that when you work on this level, it's not ego. You're not working ego. And what had happened was that at that moment when I faced what I call defeat through cheating, my ego got in the way. and I started to feel, no, this isn't going to best me. I'm going to best it. And so we landed up. The fire department came and whatever, but the director said to me, he goes, "We're done." He says, "There's nothing we can do." And I said, "No." I said, "We got to get this done, right?" I said, "Because you know what's going to happen now? We've got it this far, that this thing is going to torment everybody here from now, right? It's just going to be that much worse." And so the curator agreed to stay on. And so instead of 3 o'clock, we were there till 4 o'clock.
Well, yeah, it's in his best interest.
And so we came back to the fight. But what had happened was that because there had been that break, and because now I'm really quite angry that I'm going to deal with this, I had lost that connection, and I started working with my own energy.
So your anger caused you to lose the connection.
Yeah, okay, the anger and the ego, right? Because it's just kind of like, and
it got personal.
It got personal. Real fast, right? And so I can remember basically forcing this thing and trying to get it to go out of the building. I knew I was being told by my guides, get it out of the building, it'll lose its energy, and you'll be able to deal with it. And so...
So why is that? Why out of the building?
It was drawing power from the house, from the building. I don't know any more than that to elaborate. All I can tell you is that its energy source was literally within the confines of that building, from the basement to the rafters. So
there was some kind of vortex or something in there?
There was something that was feeding this thing energy, right? Okay. And so we landed up basically getting back into the fight, and I was pushing this thing out the window, literally, like, and I stood up and I'm walking with my hands, and I could feel my energy pushing it, and I could see the actual entity, the creature, holding on and not going. And it wasn't going to go. And then through my guides, basically they said, bubble. So I envisioned it in a white bubble, which then totally isolated it. And then I was able to push that out.
Etherically you're talking, right?
What's that?
An etheric bubble, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing that for the audience.
There you go. Do you understand etheric? Etheric, that's the word for today. Can you say etheric? Anyways, sure, I knew you could. So anyways, I put it in this bubble, and we pushed it out of the building. And the second that it actually left the building, it was literally in my eyes. It looked like somebody sparked a welder in front of my face. It was this huge flash that I saw. I don't know if anybody else saw it. I saw this flash. And the energy level...
No, I was looking at this point, I was looking at the back of his head.
There's not much to see there.
Yeah, not much to see. A few lumps. So anyways,
it's all about Rick.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, Rick, how tall are you?
Just over 6'2".
Yeah, 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah.
He's a pretty big guy. I'm only 5'3", so I'm like down like near his shoulder somewhere. I can't see anything.
Kicking me in the shins.
You know?
So anyways, we got out of the building, but then literally it was like the energy suddenly dropped.
Wow, it was
like
super calm. Super calm.
Instantly.
Yeah, I remember that. That I remember.
It was super intense. Like, I mean, I can remember it. It was just like everything
like a
crashed.
release. It was like a release.
Yeah. But then I sat down and I was spent.
Yeah.
And I landed up actually suffering for about 10 days.
Yeah.
Severe, almost felt like I had mono, like just exhausted, no energy, felt just lethargic, couldn't do anything. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So obviously something physically affected you.
Oh yeah. Because again, I went from working spiritually to working
egotistically.
Yeah, ego from the self, and working with my own energies.
Yeah.
Right, and that's also, Josie could tell you, when you're doing healings.
Yeah.
Right, you're not using your healing energy. You're using the energy from source. Right. So it was an intense experience.
Yeah. But like for myself personally, like, you know, my job for the whole sizzle reel was, to me, quite simple. Just watch Rick. It was simple, really. So I didn't feel, I never felt threatened by any entity. I never felt like I was the target.
Well, and we used to use a human shield. You remember that?
I never felt like I was in any danger.
Right.
I didn't have any of those thoughts going through my head. What I did, I remember every day of the shoot, in the morning I would run. And when I run, I purposely ground. I ground my energies while I'm running, and I balance out all my chakras. And I put my white light protection around me. I do this whenever I go outside running, it's the, for me, it works awesome. You know, it clears out my aura, everything. And the other thing too, I did too during that sizzle reel shoot is I went into my infrared sauna. One morning I went into my infrared sauna. I think I remember it was the second day of the sizzle, and I was in my infrared sauna, and there I can meditate quite easily. And I got the distinct feeling that he was trying to leave. And I think I texted you. And on the second day of, I texted you that he was trying to get out, trying to, you know, he was trying to leave because, did you explain about putting the...
Yeah, we lock down, right? So what I do is basically the whole property, 360 from above ground to below ground, put a bubble around it and then lock down so that nothing can leave. Right?
So that's Rick's way of working. I don't do it that
nothing
way.
Nothing can leave and nothing can come in. Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't do it that way. But during that meditation, I got the distinct impression that there was a part that had been weakened, and what I did is I just, you know, I just
patched it.
Yeah. I didn't patch it. I asked that
of course
it be fixed.
Yeah.
And then I just said I'm out of here. Do this. This is not my technique. This is Rick's, you know.
Well, I was
way
the
of
target.
working.
Like I had a bullseye on me.
But
right?
it just kind of comes to, you know when you sit in meditation and you gain insights. I don't know if you can relate to this.
Absolutely.
It just comes to you. You're not looking for it. It just comes to you. So you have to go with what you get. You don't want to question it. You want to have that trust factor when you're working with spirit.
Right.
You do. And the more you trust.
So what's the disadvantage of not trusting?
Well, if you're not going to trust what's going to come through, then you're going to be second guessing everything. You're not going to do anything. What are you going to do? You're going to be very ineffective, right? You're going to be very ineffective.
Okay.
There was one point when we were down in the basement and we were starting to do the clearings, and I was definitely the target because I was the opponent essentially.
You were the hitman.
Yeah, right. And so
ghost hitman. That's a good name. That's a good name for you.
Ghost hitman.
Ghost hitman. I like that.
Hey, oh, you're the one. Anyways. So anyways,
this is just too much
Today
fun.
we just came up with a new name for you.
Ghost man.
And you heard it here first.
Anyways, moving on. There was this one spot though where we were down in this this one sort of section of the basement, and it really had the distinct feeling that this was where the lair was that we'd forced it to, and I was being sort of pulled in one direction, and I remember the producer director saying, "Yeah, go in there," and I'm like, "Nope, that's a decoy." And there was two other spirits that were working to act as decoys away from the main one. And I went, nope. And I went down this little narrow hallway in the basement.
So when you say two other spirits working as decoys, like what, they were protecting this
yes,
thing?
Absolutely. Yes, they were absolutely meant to be that sort of misdirection. And if somebody wasn't truly tuned into what was going on, they could misinterpret that and leave the main one and go over there. Wow. That was the idea, right? And they were the protectors of it, right? So, but we went down this side hall and into this back room, and I literally was physically feeling as if somebody was punching me in the diaphragm. Like I literally felt body shots.
Yeah, you look like that actually, hunched over, and I was like, what's going on?
Oh yeah, and the funniest part that people don't realize behind the scenes, because I'm turning, the cameraman's facing me and I'm going, I gotta pull back, get out of the way. And there's no room for me to move. And I'm the guy that's getting sort of beat up here, right? And everybody else is not experiencing anything. And I turn around, I got Josie behind me, our other co-star behind Josie, who's a big guy. There was two camera guys, the sound guy, and then the director. And I'm just like, get out of the way. And I blow past them. And I remember saying to the director afterwards, I was like, I'm really sorry. I said, but I had to pull back. My defenses were weakening. It was still strong, and I wasn't able to continue. And he just kind of laughed. He goes, oh, that's okay. That was good TV. And I'm like, well, it wasn't about TV. It was about survival at that point. So what we actually did is, Josie said, Rick, it's not attacking me. She goes, use me in front of you to shield this area. And that's how we went into that area. and I'm walking with Josie in front of me.
And I went like this, but I didn't feel. I said, well, might as well. What am I gonna do with my hands here, right?
Well, you could feel the energy though when you went into the room.
But I didn't feel like the attack.
Yeah.
But I still protected my solar plexus. I mean, what's the point of, just in case, right?
But that enabled us to clear those areas out. It was really
the other thing we did too was we did that one point we were sending like a white snake. Remember the snake?
Yeah, in the pipes.
In the pipes.
Yeah.
That was another technique we used to fill this. I mean, our art gallery. I don't know how many square feet it is.
Yeah,
it's big though. It's big. It's got a lot of rooms.
Conduits, pipes, all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot goes into it. Like, I mean, it's not just a situation where you just sort of go in there and muck around. I mean, we literally, when we did the bubble around the property, we were making sure we're going underground to block off sewage drains and electrical.
Yeah,
and
we were putting white light everywhere, just everywhere.
So,
wow.
And that's how we, got that guy in that corner there and got rid of him.
Intense experience.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's the 1 year mark coming up this weekend. So it's kind of nice to be able to, certain things you remember after, because like I say, it was a very intense experience, and there was so much going on. It was almost too much input.
So now,
almost too
Mark,
much.
you could see this entity, right?
Yeah.
Can you describe it? Dare I ask?
You want to sleep tonight? No.
Here, I'll plug my ears.
Yeah. There we go. We'll talk to you guys. It sounds far-fetched. Even to me, when I experience this, I mean, I sit there and I go, "Wow! Like, what did I experience?" But
it was. I saw like long, weird fingers.
Yeah, like
they have long,
and claws.
That's about it. That's all I got was these long, weird, like lizard-looking.
It was. You know what a gargoyle is?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the easiest way I can sum it up. Is if you know what a gargoyle looks like, that's what this thing looked like, and it was. But it was able to. That's its natural state when it was influencing people and doing things. I mean, there's a lot of history, and I would tell anybody who's listening to this, go read about the history of that location, and then you'll understand more about why I say it's about the property and what's gone on, and there's a lot of negative things have happened over the decades. So very interesting history, but this thing was just ugly.
Yeah, so if anyone has a problem,
call her.
Taking a hiatus.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I was thinking about, I have a midwifery bag. Next time we go on an investigation, I have a midwifery bag.
I swear to God, if you sit there and go,
I'm gonna fill it with certain tools. Something that I like to work with for clearing purposes. I like to work with holy water.
Yeah.
So we'll throw the holy water in the midwifery bag. I'll leave the stethoscope in there just in case.
There you go.
Just in case.
Yeah. See if my own heart's still going.
And the blood pressure monitor. I'll leave that in there too, just in case. Maybe some smelling
He said he
salt.
wasn't scared, so you won't need it.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to just talk about that for a second. It's even from a standpoint that, having done police work, you're going into things that you don't know what to expect. You don't know what you're going to encounter. You don't know, are they armed? Is there how many people? Whatever the case may be. And that sort of conditions you. You either have that personality that's okay with that, or you don't. And what I was able to do is I was able to take over the things that I learned as a police officer was, in the training, was how to put it into this. And so for me, it's not a situation of where I said, I don't get afraid and blah, 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 blah. You can't go in afraid. If you go in afraid, you go in a weakened position.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you go in confident, not overly confident. You go in there prepared. And then after it's all said and done, then you can sit there and go, holy crap, what did we just have?
Even like with that one investigation there too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's later when you reflect back and you go, holy smolies, did that actually happen?
And we've got one that just got contacted here the other day. It's down in Vancouver. Don't know really any details on it per se. Just a client contacted us, and this sounds like it's going to be a legitimately very interesting investigation to do. I think we're going to have some activity, and I think our hands might be a little bit fuller on this one, so it'll be good.
Okay. Okay. Well, I look forward to hearing more about that. Anything else you want to share with us? What's happening? What are the new projects you're working on?
We don't have that kind of time.
Oh, come on.
I've got 5 different businesses going, so I'm going in 1,000 directions at once. But as far as spirit goes, I mean, spirit is a passion for me. It's not a hobby. This isn't something that I just sort of randomly do. It's something that I'm very focused on. I have been focused on for several years. So it's, people wonder if I'm just like, a weekend warrior or whatever. And that's not the case for me, and I know it's not the case for Josie and my team. So,
just off the cuff, do you sense any entities in here?
I know.
Well,
they've come through.
I was going to say something, but then she wouldn't be working here any longer. So
you've had your problems, right?
Tell me, please, because enlighten me.
Well, I know in the past there's been things that have come, and you've dealt with them.
I don't feel anything. Yeah, I feel fine.
I don't know anything about it. If
you don't know about before you took over?
No, I don't. Tell me.
Because you're not the original owner, right?
No.
Then you'd have to talk to. You'd have to talk to the original owner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
She's gonna stay here at night now.
Yeah.
We now close at 2 in the afternoon, folks. Thank you for coming out.
But no, it is.
We're here 10 to 10 every day.
Yeah, and I too have
I love it.
I too am busy with businesses too.
Right.
One of the things that's a real passion for me is past life regression work. I do that. That's one of my real passions.
Oh, interesting.
And I do a lot at a local spiritualist church. Always doing something on a Sunday and a Thursday evening. So a couple times a week, I'm always.
So we should get you out here doing something different than Spirit one of these days.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'll say to the viewers is that Josie is awesome at doing the past life regression. I've done a session with her, and I also know one of the ladies that you trained with, Di Cherry, who was amazing, and Josie's equally gifted. And if anybody's looking for one of those kind of sessions, you can contact Joe through our website, SPIRITBC.
Through Astral.
through Astral Connections, or through SPIRITBC.net.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick.
Thanks
again.
Yeah, it's great, guys. Thanks.